Hey everybody, it's Brooke from Heat Transfer Warehouse, and today I'm going to show you how to sublimate a tumbler using two different methods. So we're going to be talking about this tumbler press and then also the Walla oven sublimation oven. And we are going to be showing you how to do a full wrap, which might be intimidating at first, but once you have done it a few times, it's pretty easy to get the hang of. So I have my sublimation transfers already printed. And what I did beforehand was measure out the tumblers, so I had the exact height and width around it. And then I did do just a little bit larger than that, so then we had some room to work with, some wiggle room. Okay, I'm just gonna trim it so it's a perfect straight line. Then the second thing you're gonna wanna do is make sure you remove all the lids and straws, any other attachments that come, because you don't want them to melt in the heat source. I'm gonna first show you the tumbler press, since our oven is just warming up a little bit. This is thermal tape, don't use regular tape. And then just a pair of scissors so I can trim if I need to. So now I'm going to line up my transfers best I can and make sure my paper is nice and tight onto the tumbler. And then I'm just gonna cut some heat tape to secure that paper to the tumbler. So that's pretty tight. I'm just gonna put a few more pieces down. Make sure I get good pressure in the press. Awesome, and what I did forget to do was test the pressure, so I'm just gonna take one of these empty tumblers that don't have a design on it yet and just sneak it in there and make sure I don't have anything too crazy. I'm gonna tighten that a little bit. So you wanna make sure there's no gaps in between the tumbler and the platen. I just want it to be snug in there. You don't need crazy firm pressure, but you do want the tumbler right up against the platen. That should be good. Sweet. You make sure you're using a heat glove because that baby's gonna be hot. I'm gonna go ahead and get some craft paper. I'm just using craft paper because sublimation ink can transfer to the platen and I don't want any extra ink there. Wrap that around my tumbler just to protect the platen. Then I'm gonna put it in there. Make sure the whole tumbler is in there and close her up. And I'll make sure to set the time on there. And the timer might not start right away because it has to get back up to temperature. I'm gonna do this at 400 degrees for 40 seconds, and then I'm gonna rotate it and then do another 40 seconds. All right, so it's been 40 seconds. Just going to open her up, rotate the tumbler. You just wanna make sure there is a little gap up here. So what I'm doing is, when I'm rotating it, I'm making sure that that little gap that wasn't touching the heat gets moved, so it's gonna be touching the heat source. So the inks should all transfer then. So again, you're doing 40 seconds, you're rotating it, and then you're doing 40 more seconds. All right, so our time is up. Gonna sneak it out of there. Again, make sure you're using a glove. She warm, as you can tell. Now let's see how it went. Okay, well, that looks great. I'll try to rotate it, but I only have one glove on, so it's kind of hard. Pretty successful go with the tumbler press. Doesn't look like there's too much ghosting or anything at all, so. Okay, so for the sublimation oven, it's gonna be pretty much the same process for wrapping it, trimming up your transfer, getting it lined up, and then using some thermal tape to secure it. Then after that, there's gonna be an extra step that I will show you. Cool. Now I'm gonna line it up. So it looks like I have a little bit of overlap and a little bit too tall. Just gonna line it up more properly. And then again, I'm just gonna bend a little bit so I kind of see where to stop the trimming. That's looking pretty good. Just gonna make sure I can get that as tight as possible. Oops. Okay, that's pretty good. Get that first piece of tape down. So now here comes the extra step that the oven requires, but it's super simple. It's just a shrink sleeve. So with the press, you can tell that the platen, you can tighten those screws and get good pressure there. But with the oven, there's nothing inside there to get good pressure. So a lot of people will use these shrink sleeves. I know there's silicone wraps out there, like just rubber stretchy things to place around your tumbler. You're just doing that so it gets a nice tight like grip to the tumbler. So I'm just gonna use a heat gun and then just turn that on and yeah, start shrinking the sleeve. Okay, so with the shrink sleeve, what you're looking for is basically you just want to get this nice and flat, try to eliminate any bubbles that you can. You can see there's some wrinkling, but that shouldn't cause any issues. Should be pretty good. So I'm a little bit worried about this tiny area right here just because the shrink sleeve came up there. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. But normally you want the shrink sleeve to cover every bit of sublimation paper that you can. All right, now she's ready for the oven. So we are going to get everything out of the way, open her up. And with our new Walla oven, the 20-ounce tumblers actually don't fit up and down. So you'll just put it in there sideways. But if you have the OG version, it will fit up and down. Maybe I'll rotate her. Okay, perfect. Sweet, now that I have her in there, I'm going to just change the time to 4 minutes. It might not start right away because the oven has just lost some heat from opening it. So once it gets back up to temp, the timer will start. Cool. Okay, that is the sound of a completed tumbler. Let's take it out and look. Oh, as you can see, the shrink wrap did come up there even more than before. We'll see how it turned out. Hopefully that didn't mess with it too much since the rest was covered, but. So I'm going to take this X-Acto knife. Sometimes using a blade helps just to get it started, the peeling process. This is my favorite part. Super satisfying. Don't mind me throwing it on the floor. And some people like to wait for it to cool down, but I kind of find it easier to peel the shrink sleeve when it's a little bit warm. If it's being kind of difficult, you can just gently make a little slice with your knife on the seam of the shrink wrap. Don't go too hard, you don't want to scratch your tumbler. Now we just have the paper. Peeling that is pretty easy. The tape lifts up. Not difficult at all. Wow. There she is. Very nice. Looks like our edges got very crisp, clean look there. No ghosting, no fading. You can tell a little bit where we overlapped, but not bad. So to avoid that, if this bothered you, you would just have to trim that a little bit more next time. So to kind of recap what we did today, we did 2 tumblers using sublimation full wrap designs, and we used our Walla mug press, the 7-in-1 mug press, and our Walla oven sublimation oven. So whatever method you're more comfortable with, totally up to you. As you can see, they both produce great results. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more. Thanks.